I believe it's Chip Kelly. I think that, to me, allowing Mark Sanchez to put the ball in the air, when you're looking at a game-winning field goal at that point with 5 minutes to go and the Dolphins had only scored once in their previous 8 or 9 possessions, I think a field goal there wins it. Why do you not run it 3 times if you get in? Great. If not, boot the field goal and take the win. I just don't understand. We know Mark Sanchez's history. He's been working as a backup, so you know he's only getting about 25% of the snaps throughout the week for 9 weeks. What makes you think he's going to do a good job there and pick a good receiver to throw to? And in Sanchez's defense, he hasn't had the practice. So to me, I really, that one more than anything else, I put the loss, regardless of everything else that happened in that game, which there's plenty of issues everywhere else. That one spot, they still had a shot to win it. And I thought allowing Mark Sanchez to throw that ball there really cost him a loss.
I would agree with that, and I would agree with the fact that Chip Kelly, quite frankly, if I'm putting a list together of guys, he's at the top of that list. The attention to detail in this team is absolutely abysmal. It has been like this even in their wins, Scott, the attention to detail. The only reason they're winning some of these games is because they're flat out more talented than some of the teams they're playing. But I would say that if Chip Kelly was the reason they won games in years past because, of whatever they were doing on offense and the pay, he's the reason that this team's 4-5 right now.
Well, you look at preparation, and something that Chip Kelly last year in particular was always strong at was special teams. But you could single-handedly look at several plays in the game yesterday where special teams breakdowns cost this team a missed field goal, the blocked punt. It goes on. And to me, that's a big sign that maybe they're not paying as much attention to detail on special teams in those issues during the week of practice, and it's costing them.
Scott Grayson's got Grayson's grades. Kelly gets an F. Let's go up the list. Couple D's here. You gave Mark Sanchez a D, and you gave Sam Bradford a B in the game. Did you think there was a big difference between the two quarterbacks yesterday? Obviously you did. What was the big separation between those two guys?
Well, I almost had to call security on myself because I was banging my head off the table in the press box so much with Mark Sanchez and DeMarco Murray on those handoffs. When you're the backup quarterback, you need to try to do things like the starter. And I think it's on Sanchez to watch in practice how Bradford is exchanging the ball with his backs, because if you come in relief, you need to do it the same way. Footwork wasn't the same. DeMarco Murray looked confused as to whether or not he was actually getting the ball. And to me, it's a little thing, but it's a big thing, because if he's still worried about holding on to the ball, he's clearly not hitting the hole as hard or explosively as he should. And there's times where those running plays could have become more important. And as much as I banged Kelly for making the play call to allow the ball to go in the air, Sanchez has to know in that situation he's got to either find an open guy or airmail it into the stands. Trying to fit it into there were several defenders around Miles Austin on that play. Sanchez has to know better, and we know who Mark Sanchez is. I said up there when he came in, I was waiting for stupid Sanchez to show his ugly side at some point, and sure enough, he did. And those are big mistakes. I toyed with giving Sanchez an F.
I guess you could look at it and say we know who Miles Austin is too. To have to for weeks I keep pulling my hair out, Scott, saying why on big third downs are they targeting Miles freaking Austin? It's every week on third downs they seem like he's the go-to guy.
Well, who else are you going to go to at this point? Both Bradford and Sanchez are hanging Jordan Matthews out to get absolutely murdered in these games. And Josh Huff has shown that he likes to run short of the sticks. So when you look at it, who are you really going to throw the ball to? Miles Austin is just as good an option as anybody else.
Well, it seemed that the tight ends were catching the football yesterday, and they were, a big part of the offense in the first half, and then they kind of vanished. Here's a couple numbers for you, Scott. This is interesting. Because I'll ask you, you did give Bradford a B, meaning you thought he played, pretty well. And I thought he played well in that first half, too. I don't know if I say, man, that Sam Bradford going out was really – because I thought they moved the ball pretty well with Sanchez. But 9 games Sanchez has played under Kelly. 9 games Bradford has played under Kelly. The numbers are virtually identical. It's unbelievable. Sanchez has 212 completions, Bradford 214. Sanchez threw 332 passes, Bradford 335 passes. Bradford's completed 63.8, Sanchez 63.8. 2,500 yards for Sanchez, 2,200 yards for Bradford. 14 touchdowns for Sanchez, 11 for Bradford, 12 interceptions for Sanchez, 10 for Bradford. The quarterback rating, 86 for Sanchez, 82 for Bradford. The one difference that is pretty big is the yards per attempt. Sanchez, 7.75, Bradford, 6.8. So it sounds like you got the same guy playing the next couple of weeks if Bradford can't go.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. You're not going to be any more confident, and I'm not any more confident with Sanchez than I was with Bradford. I think they both make questionable decisions at times with where they're going with the ball. I feel like Bradford's a little more accurate. There's so many times you see Sanchez, at least we did last year, throw the ball, and you wondered who he was throwing it to. And yesterday, heck, he nailed great accuracy on the pass to DeMarco Murray. It's just hit him in the back of the numbers. Got to hit him in the hands, and DeMarco Murray's got to know the ball's coming his way. It's all those kind of things, and now you wonder with Bradford out. And yes, I know you've been itching to get Sanchez in there. He's going to have a week of getting all the reps, assuming that Bradford can't go, which I'm kind of expecting.
I wouldn't say I was itching. I'm not itching to see Sanchez because I think he's better. I was itching to see that's more about Bradford than it is Sanchez, though. This isn't, hey, I think Sanchez is clearly better. It's more, hey, I don't think Bradford's the guy moving forward, so I'm going to cut my losses and take that 4th-round pick because I don't think there's much difference between the two guys. If it was egregious, I'm not just quitting on my team and ripping it up and starting over. I don't think it's an egregious change if they were to make. What if they win these next 2 games and Sanchez plays pretty well?
Well, yeah, I know. Then what, right? That really puts Chip Kelly in a spot. And here's where I believe Sanchez gives you a better chance to win, and you see it when you have a weaker offensive line. Sanchez's ability to move around and run really helps keep the defense on their heels a little bit, and he did that to an extent yesterday. All those times I saw a wide open field in front of him, and he kept stringing out the play, and I'm thinking, Mark, what are you doing? I mean, just run and take 5 or 6 yards. Sometimes he's got to be able to understand that that's a positive play instead of trying to force it downfield.
Scott Grayson's got Grayson's grades. They're all posted up at 973ESPN.com. You were in that locker room last night, Scott. What's the mood in there after that loss? I would have to assume there was a lot of frustrated guys in there.
There are a lot of frustrated guys, and here's the thing that's a little troubling. When you hear them all talk, a lot of them dismiss the things. We just have to shore this up. We have to shore that up. Well, we know where we stand in the division. At some point, there's got to be a sense of urgency that says we're going to go take this division, and we're going to stop making excuses for the mental mistakes that take place in these games. I thought Malcolm Jenkins said it best at one point. He said, we don't need to be a Super Bowl winning team today. We just need to be a team that can win a couple of games in a row and worry about being a Super Bowl winning team later if we're fortunate enough to make the playoffs. I think that's what this team needs to focus on, playing several games in a row that are solid to build off. They still have enough time to build some momentum. They realize that, but I think they also realize that they're starting to run out of time, but they keep making excuses, and that's the part that really frustrates me when you walk around in that locker room and hear them talk.
All right, check out all Grayson's grades right after each and every game at 973ESPN.com. A lot of B's in there. One guy got an A. We should give him a mention, Brett Selleck, who did play a pretty good game, 4 catches, 134 yards. He had a real big first half, but they kind of got away from him. Did they get away from him because Miami took him away or because the Eagles didn't go back to him?
Well, we've seen this in the past with Zach Ertz. He'll have a big first quarter, and then Chip Kelly goes away from him. I think more often than not, they just went away from him. They tried to do other things. Brent admitted afterwards that, I said, why did you get off the line so easily? Were they letting you? Did they not think you'd be a receiving threat in this game? He said, that's the impression I got. So if that was their game plan, then likely it was there throughout the game, and the Eagles just never went back to it, which is another reason that you could sit there and bash Chip Kelly a little bit.
Scott will be in Philadelphia for the Eagles and Buccaneers. We'll have Grayson's grades next week at this time. We'll see if the Eagles, by the way, if they win, they will be in first place with the Giants off by a half a game. All right, Scott, great stuff, man. Good insight.
All right, thanks a lot, Mike.